welcome to Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And today we have Jewels. And if you could just introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do in the holistic healing world.
Thank you, Pamela. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I am
Absolutely.
happy to be here and sharing my wisdom and expertise and also my journey of how I got here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's my honor.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this conversation. So thank you.
yeah, me too. So yeah, just a little bit about myself. I currently practice somatic uh, guidance, and part of the somatic guidance is also understanding the nervous system. So essentially, somatic means soma, which
Hmm.
means body.
Yep.
And this is what I do. I help ambitious, but very highly self-aware women who have already been around the loop and the
Hmm.
circle and everywhere, and the mindset and affirmations and journaling and whatever. They're aware.
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah. They're aware they have tendencies for perfectionism, for procrastination, avoidance. They speak kind of like the lingo, just like
Mhm.
where I was, but they still feel stuck. They still feel like they need to prove themselves by doing more. They still feel like they need to get, those certificates and more certificates and more courses, right?
Exactly. Oof.
So that they finally feel like when I talk to them, they tell me like I feel like myself again.
Yeah.
So
That's
there's
so
that,
nice. So
yeah, there's
nice to
that,
be able to come back to self, come back to that
yeah.
central part within yourself, to know that person once again. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, this is good. That's good. It resonated. So yes, it's like that sense they're lost
Yeah.
and they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And if I could describe it in just a short summary, so I work with women, just women.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's what I've noticed, when women
Yeah.
changes, transforms, comes back home to herself,
Yeah.
so then suddenly she's experiencing different relationship with her partner, with her children, with her friends, with her work. It's like that's to me, it confirms the phrase that we all have heard. I'm sure most of us, it only takes one to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love working with women, just because
Yeah.
already kind of on that journey. And when they transform, their world changes just naturally. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why the way I can describe my clients is this. On the outside, she looks amazing, accomplished, successful, smart, go-getter, fix some door, all of it. On the inside, she's feeling
Mm.
disconnected, unfulfilled, lacking joy, lost. So there is this kind of two main parts that
Yeah.
we're dealing with. And they
Yeah, and
don't,
so many of us sort of hide, like you said, on the outside, they're showing one face to the world, or that's their perception looking in, but the perception from the inside looking out, or even the inside looking within yourself too, may be completely different. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, just kind of like that sense of
Yeah.
split up. I feel disconnected. And that's also their strategies to get away from the body because it doesn't feel
Mm,
good to feel that feeling, right?
mm-hmm.
So they dissociate. They find all kinds of ways to do more
Yeah.
to just become who they remember that they used to be, or they feel like they should be, or some,
Right.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you do these things with the clients that you work with? Are you working with them one-on-one, in person, in groups, or remotely, or all of the above?
All the above.
All of the above.
Well,
Awesome.
no, primarily I work on Zoom. So
Okay.
yeah, I have clients from different places. So that's why,
Nice.
thanks to this abundant
Hmm.
internet and Wi-Fi that we have, that
Yeah.
brings us closer and also opens us up to so many modalities.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So it's really beautiful to have clients around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's one-on-one primarily. And I start with everyone like a 3 month package, 3 month
Hmm.
journey, because I don't believe that one session is just gonna, it might open up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You never
But
know,
then,
probably. Yeah.
yes, and I love to just witness my clients progress
Mm-hmm.
at their own nervous system rate.
Yeah.
All of them get into their form of progression.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually after that, my clients on average stay with me for about 9 months to a year. It
Hmm.
is not a requirement.
Yep.
It's just when the work starts and they start feeling it and understanding it and connecting it, it's like, yes, I would like more of that.
Yeah.
Essentially, at some point, they feel complete, and yeah, we might, do some touch-ups here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of the group, yes, I do have like mini groups as well, and that's something that I'll be doing more of next year.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Also, like different webinars that I am preparing to deliver next year. That's my
Mm-hmm.
plan.
And will those be listed on your website?
Uh, well, I have one that I'm working on for February because it's the
Okay.
love month and I like to talk about love. And that's
Yeah.
actually the webinar. I can share that link with you and your audience. So you
Okay.
can definitely attend. It's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah, we'll have all the links listed in the description. So anybody watching or listening, please go to the description and follow the links there. So yeah.
Mhm.
So what is the experience like for your clients, for your guests when they first contact you? What can they expect from you when they contact you?
Such a good question. What can they experience? They can experience to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, we have to go through that little uncomfortable
Well,
part.
yes. And again, when I say uncomfortable, so and this is the work of the nervous system,
Yes.
because there is that saying there, feeling is healing. And
Yeah.
of course, when you're working with ambitious, hardworking women, they're like, yeah, bring it on, I can handle
Yeah, right.
it. So it's just that again, their nervous system where it got stuck, like give me more, do more, and it's kind of like that
Mm-hmm.
sympathetic overdrive. So that's where I was, like I would be feeling it and doing it.
Yeah.
But in the nervous system, we want to titrate and create more comfort than discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
So this is again
Yeah.
up to the qualified guide who can kind of titrate and track their nervous system to help them experience a lot more good, especially during first few sessions,
Mm-hmm.
but also allow us to kind of poke the bear, but
Yeah.
just enough so that the bear is not going to get scared and went into the
Mm-hmm.
overdrive and then shut down. So because
Yeah.
that's what really my clients experience, kind of like that global activation. They
Mm-hmm.
either go shut down or high up. And
Yeah.
that's the part that they're missing. So that's kind of like the part that we're creating, that rift
Mm.
for them, where they start feeling safe,
Yeah.
to feel relaxed, to feel connected to their level of relaxation. Again, if I'm coming
Yeah.
from here, it might be just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So working with the body, because most of my clients are very much into cognitive and mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I have to educate a lot, like how the nervous system actually creates their state of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
If we are only accessing state of thinking and not accessing the state of feeling, when we're just basically going around the loop.
Yeah.
It's another part. Working with the body, I think that will be number one, what I help them do, because I believe and also know now through the nervous system,
Yeah.
the answers are within. But if that was just a phrase for me,
Mm-hmm.
now I understand that it's actually wired within us
Yeah.
by the divine creation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all within us. So yeah, I imagine too, a lot of the women that you work with, um, stay so busy and do a lot of stuff, and they look like they're really accomplished because they're avoiding going deeper, going into themselves, and they're avoiding poking that bear a little bit, as you said. So I imagine that you have to get them to this comfortable spot where they will look at the bear before they allow to poke at it a little bit. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think that we can use these busyness, and these accomplishments as a way of really avoiding what's really going on or what's holding us back or keeping us stuck. So yeah, yeah, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
exactly. Because when I ask them, how do you want to feel? Most
Mm-hmm.
of my clients say, I want to feel present.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing, their nervous system does not feel safe to feel present
Mm,
because it does
yeah.
not build that capacity. So that's why a lot of things that we want to experience in life, it actually feels scary for our
Yeah.
nervous system. Because again, if I'm in the busy, busy doing mode, I
Mm-hmm.
remember like that time with myself, I had a breathing coach and he was in Canada. So we had a Zoom session.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was kind of tracking my body and telling me, like, okay, breathe here, breathe there, you're breathing here, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like this. My
Oh,
heart rate was always like in a normal, like
oh,
80, 90. My blood
wow.
pressure was fine, and I am all, I love to exercise, I eat well and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But I was that anxious person. But I
Yeah.
also was growing up with a very anxious mom and
Mm-hmm.
so many other anxious people. I thought it was a normal thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when I experienced some breathing issues, which was kind of like forms of the panic attack from what I understand
Mm,
now, and then I had a breathing coach,
yeah.
and he also had me to have that pulsometer on my
Mm-hmm.
finger because we kind of did the breath work and then just kind of checked in to see how my heart rate was
Yeah.
responding because essentially there is a lot of signs that breathing is part of the nervous system.
Right, right.
It also affects your heart rate.
Yeah.
So then I remember the moment that I come to that deep three-dimensional breathing, not using my shoulders so much, not using my neck so much, not using my
Yeah.
face so much, but just like here, deep inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt so effortless when you get to
Mm-hmm.
the actual depth of the breath. It felt so effortless.
Nice.
And then at a certain point, I experienced this moment of so much quietness.
Mm.
I could feel my heart beating. I could feel my breathing. I felt so quiet, like inside of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I looked at my pulsometer and my heart rate was at 60.
Oh, yeah.
I
Good.
literally thought I was dying
Was
because
that the
my
first
nervous
time
system,
that you
yeah,
felt
did
that
not
quiet?
have
Yeah.
capacity. And essentially it went back to like, no, we're dying here. It's too quiet. It's too peaceful.
Oh gosh.
And that's when I experienced heart attack. I was like, came out
Oh
of this
my.
whole, beautiful experience of peace and quietness for like
Mhm.
seconds. And then
Mhm.
I came out, I was like,
Oh my
because
goodness.
what's wrong? I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm scared. I'm dying.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, scary. It
Uh,
sounds like diving into water and then it's all like quiet and peaceful in there and moving slowly and then like you jump back out like that's what it sounds like to me, like jumping out of water.
yeah, because too much of a good thing can also be too much because again, my nervous system did not have enough capacity
Yeah.
to hold space, safe space to feel that much peace and present
Yeah.
quietness. And that's what I also notice a lot of times in my clients who have like relationship issues.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like one of the patterns that shows up.
Yeah.
Finally, she meets a guy who is like taking care of her and doing
Mm.
nice and beautiful things. But she only experienced guys who didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she coped by doing more and being more,
Uh,
all of that pleasing
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
That's what her nervous system knows.
Yeah.
And now she cognitively understands, like, look, this guy, he's like a keeper, but
Mm-hmm.
everything inside of her is like anxious and agitated and all of that because
Yeah.
she doesn't know any other way at the moment how to feel safe with somebody who is actually doing that, what she did for other people. And that's where her worth was and enoughness and
Yeah.
love. And then suddenly somebody loves her because they find her perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and if like they find somebody like me or another practitioner of that sort at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
then we can have a beautiful love relationship
Yeah.
and marriage and whatever else might follow with it. And if not, she will essentially self-sabotage herself
Mm-hmm.
and then basically come to that dooming phase, like something's
Yeah.
wrong with me. And I just,
Yeah.
lost the guy. And this is
Yeah.
that subconscious, and that's where that's what the body holds, our subconscious and
Mm-hmm.
unconscious. It happens outside of our conscious control. We're not
Mm-hmm.
even aware until we are.
Yeah, they have to come to an understanding to what's really going on at a deeper level and not just default back to those self-sabotaging ways. Yeah. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think it comes to a lot of understanding needs to happen first. So, yeah. Yeah. So, how did you first become interested in working with clients in this way, in the way that you do?
Well, of course, my own journey.
Yeah.
So I was that woman who I'm describing now, and I'm still partially experiencing those moments, but I also
Mm-hmm.
know how to work with them and integrate them. So, which
Yeah.
feels more empowering than just doing this roller coaster of up and down, too much up, too much down.
Yeah.
So, I started with yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of started to experience connection to the body through yoga.
Yeah.
But when I started yoga, which is like, I don't know, 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I also started with that same intention. I did poses. I did
Uh-huh.
up and down, quick, quick, quick. And then when the Shavasana comes, which is like that relaxing, doing nothing,
Mm-hmm.
pack up my stuff and just go. Like, no, it's too much.
Mm.
No, I don't have time.
Oh my goodness. Like I did the yoga, I did the poses. That's it. I'm out of here.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Yeah.
why a lot of women that I work with, like their first reaction is, I don't do yoga. I cannot do yoga. I cannot relax,
Yeah.
which is already an indication that your nervous system essentially never comes to that state of
Oh my gosh.
homeostasis where you can feel safe to just like do nothing
Yeah.
or feel your body or do slow yoga.
Yeah. I was just thinking as you said that about, your some of your clients saying those things is like that is a really good indication of where you need to work with them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did, and that was the comfort zone. And I thought I did yoga, right?
Right.
But then again, through my own journey and also all my body talking,
Mm-hmm.
the body whispers and then it talks and then it screams,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I
I
started to
love that.
explore the other side of yoga, which more of that mindful practice, the breathing,
Right.
all of that. And then suddenly I felt like, oh, that's what I need.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a piece that was missing. There it
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I stopped resisting it,
Mm-hmm.
I actually was able to accept and experience the benefits of that slow, gentle practice. And at that time,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I needed because I owned a franchise operation. There was lots of work and all kinds of stuff,
Mm.
plus all my stuff. So it's
Right.
too much. So my body was whispering and then talking,
Mm-hmm.
screaming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
essentially, I also did the yoga certification and I became more of a go-to person to do restorative yoga because
Mm-hmm.
I started to love this modality. And I also
Yeah.
started to understand and educate other women on the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's kind of like my first opening and connection to the body. And then I started to study more of the biomechanics of the body.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I had like literally spiritual experience.
Mm.
meaning that when I learned the biomechanics of the body and how this machine is perfectly and amazingly
Yeah.
adapted and created, we're still figuring out things,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I was just amazed. That was like the first time I literally felt like there must be some kind of bigger, higher energy out there, because how in the world would you come up with this, blood vessels and the muscles and the tissues and the
Yeah,
mind,
all of it.
brains and all kinds of stuff, so that we can be this amazing human who also has divine qualities as
Hmm.
well. So, and that's kind of like that constant embracing, in and out within you, that human within you and divine
Hmm.
within you, and then allowing them to integrate and become that conscious creator,
Yeah.
because that's what makes us different from mammals and animals.
Yeah.
Like we're more conscious
Right.
people, but when we're in survival, we're not quite accessing that part.
Right.
So essentially, yes, yeah, I experienced all the same tendencies, the perfectionist, procrastinations, doer, not good enough, not worthy,
Oh,
not receiving love, not accepting myself in all the ways, hiding, feeling small and hiding.
yeah.
So like I would not be doing this with you today.
Mm,
All of that. So, and
yeah.
right now I am basically 51. And it's amazing how when you are really rewiring from inside, like essentially I'm physically the same person.
Hmm.
Even physically, I look different. Like if I look at my pictures then and I look at the
Yeah.
pictures now, it's like I'm different. The facial muscles are different, which is also related to the nervous system.
So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I really literally live the life through the different prism that was not available to me then,
Yeah.
just because of my upbringing and childhood and how my nervous system received life.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful and it's really just amazing. And again, this is within us. Just make the last point here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, please,
That's
please.
why when my clients say, and I used to say that too, of course, well, this is just how I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, right. Right.
but because of a beautiful science of neuroplasticities nowadays, neuroscience, Heart and Math Institute, all of that work,
Yeah.
we know that I am is not fixed.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I am is that state of consciousness that we are in. But what we say after I am, that's
Yeah.
who we become.
Yeah.
But we also have that amazing ability, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it, again, rewiring from the nervous system
Hmm.
to create consciously who we choose to become. But again, in order for us to get there, we need to work with that survival stuff that
Yeah.
has been built within us as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so we had mentioned before we started recording about how, science is backing up this spirituality stuff nowadays, whereas before it wasn't necessarily the way it was. But now, for people who are a little more science-minded or need that piece to be able to even look into something new, then there is science that backs up all of this. So that's pretty amazing as well. I don't know if you want to talk on that a little bit. I know you already have actually, but I don't know if there's
Mhm.
anything else you'd like to mention about that.
Yeah, I can, say a few things. And again,
Yeah,
this is like science 101.
yeah,
Simple terms and how I understand and see it at this time. Um, so let me just see where I want to start.
yeah, that's okay.
Well, I believe that also like we have a newer understanding of the nervous system
Right.
due to the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, who came up with the polyvagal theory.
Mm-hmm.
Also Deb Dana, who also did a lot of contribution in that work. So before we understood the nervous system more from like this on and off switch, kind of
Mm-hmm.
parasympathetic, sympathetic, fight, flight, freeze, and
Yeah.
kind of that. But with his work, he also, this is why it's a poly, there is more than just one, there is more. And this is the part of the vagus nerve structure. So the
Mm-hmm.
vagus nerve is like longest cranial nerve in our body. So, and
Yeah.
it has a few branches.
Mm-hmm.
We can even try it ourselves to kind of notice how long this nerve is. If you place one hand behind your head there and kind
Mm-hmm.
of find the bony ridge,
Yep.
you go inward. This is where brainstem starts.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine like this long braid that you
Okay.
have.
Yep.
And if you place your hand on your heart, the other hand, so this is kind of branch that comes from the
Mm.
brainstem to the heart and also to the cheek or to the face.
Mm.
So all these branches of the
Yeah.
vagus nerve, they are connected here. And this is what's called the ventral vagal or
Okay.
social engagement or a loving connection or state of
Mm.
regulation. So, and this is kind of like his discovery that
Yeah.
we know now. And that's kind of like new branch of the vagus nerve because we're essentially new at social interactions.
Mm.
So like this branch of the vagus nerve is about like 200 million years old.
Mm.
The other ones, so
Yeah.
like if we go down, so that will be
Mm-hmm.
like on the spine, we have sympathetic, but like the vagus nerve is part of the parasympathetic. So if we place our hand now to the belly,
Okay. Yep.
so this is how five goes all the way to the colon.
Mm.
That's a long nerve from here to here.
Yeah. Through the cheeks. Yep.
Yes, it's like this little braid.
Wow.
So in a way, sometimes I feel like it's a like now we have Christmas. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like a Christmas light. You know,
Ah,
Christmas light that's long
you're
and it's so
right. The right, the
and
strand.
lights
Yeah.
up and flickers and do all kinds of things depending on where we are
Oh.
inside and also what messages our body sends because our body constantly sends messages up to the
Mm-hmm.
mind, to the brain, through the vagus nerve. And depending on what our heart feels and what our
Yeah.
breath feels and the skin feels and all of it. So it's constantly like sending, those bulbs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great visual, though. That's a great visual for it, for sure.
Yeah. So and this is basically a parasympathetic system that is controlled by the vagus nerve that has two branches. So like at the
Mm.
belly,
Mm-hmm.
like people want to Google, they will see kind of like this vine, or I call them roots, and they're spread out here.
Mm-hmm.
Basically affect every part of the gut and organ inside, plus the lungs, because it goes under the diaphragm, a heart,
Mm-hmm.
and then the throat, and also
Mm-hmm.
the ears and the eyes,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
yeah, all of it.
Wow.
So, and
Yeah.
essentially how it works in simple terms, so when we experience stressor and we need to mobilize our energy into that sympathetic fight or flight, which is also can
Mm-hmm.
be good. We need that energy to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish things. We need to be that active person.
Mm-hmm.
But then essentially we have kind of like a hand. So the vagus nerve releases and we mobilize that energy and we go do that stuff. And when the stressor or that good stressor is done,
Mm-hmm.
the vagus nerve re-engages and we go back to like regulated. Okay, so now I'm
Hmm.
having dinner, I can have conversation, I feel fine, I go take a bath,
Ah,
whatever, right?
nice.
Like
Yeah.
that in the normal kind of way. So essentially, like if I give another image, if you're riding a bicycle down the hill,
Yeah.
right? But your other hand is just keeping the hand on the brake
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that you don't go too fast, too
Right.
much, and fall down. So this is the
Yeah.
top of the vagus nerve and that
Oh,
parasympathetic
okay.
working together with sympathetic. But when we've been in a chronic state of stress and constant
Mm-hmm.
on this,
Yeah.
essentially our vagus nerve is just kind of like muscles. They kind of like
Mm-hmm.
we kind of forgot what needs to be done because you're
Oh,
doing
gosh.
here too far and I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, so that would be like the bicycle just taking off on its own pretty much, and you not really having any kind of control over
Yeah,
that. Yeah, just like wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that parasympathetic system, so at the belly button, that branch,
Hmm.
belly, not belly button, but the gut
Right,
area,
right. That
that
area. Yeah.
part of the sympathetic branch is called dorsal vagal,
Mm.
what is also known as collapse and shut down.
Mm.
So, and that's the thing. So essentially, when we don't have energy left to fight or
Hmm.
flight and do that stuff, we go into that parasympathetic shutdown,
Yeah.
which is going to be too much quiet and kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, that's okay. Well, I'm just
Mm.
waiting for my angels to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, I
Mm.
don't care. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. I don't
Mm.
care. So this is
Yeah.
kind of like that story that comes from this nervous system branch,
Mm.
which is also part of the parasympathetic, which is that two branches now.
Yep.
It used to be only one.
Mm.
So, and essentially, like at the gut level, this branch is the oldest one because it's the most basic. All mammals have that, and this is like 400 million years old.
Mm.
Then sympathetic branch is 300 million years old, and then ventral vagal, which is here, which is
Yeah.
our newest, it's 200 million years old because again, our fears are not the same anymore. They're more social
No.
connected, right?
Right.
We're afraid of the imposter syndrome, like we
Right.
talked about before we
Yeah.
started, right?
Yeah.
Afraid not to feel good enough, or I'm
Hmm.
not afraid to feel accepted. So all of these fears, this is kind of like where we're swimming now,
Yeah.
which is understandable. And that's what I love to educate my clients because
Yeah.
I believe knowledge is power. And it
Absolutely.
also allows us to see how essentially when we don't know how, like I call this the manual for our expansion and becoming a
Mm.
human.
Yeah.
The system is a manual. And if we can learn how to operate this manual,
Hmm.
then we feel more empowered. We feel like
Right.
our nervous system now is in the driver's seat and
Yeah.
we can actually like, drive with it
Yeah.
instead of being kind of like on the back seat and just be on the cruise control, like, let's
Right.
fly.
Right, right. Or
Yeah,
sitting on that bicycle without steering or without having a
yeah,
hand on the brake going down the hill like that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, and just another very important point to add to this, which really made a huge difference in my journey,
Hmm.
bringing it to my clients. So again, because of the work of Dr. Stephen Porges and his polyvagal theory, we also know that 80% of the messages come from the body to
Mm.
the brain.
Mm.
Because essentially what we're dealing with is with autonomic nervous system.
Yeah.
And the autonomic nervous system is working with the survival brain. And a part of that brain is amygdala
Mm-hmm.
because survival wins
Yeah.
no matter
Right.
what.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah, because everything in that's why like when we start understanding the purpose of the nervous system, and it's actually like I call it your internal lover that you never knew.
Mm-hmm. That's
Or
great though. Yeah.
asking mom, who is like doing a lot of work behind the scenes so that you can love her.
Aw,
She's
yeah.
helping you survive.
I love
Like,
that.
when we always like to say, well, because your mom loves you, that's why she wants you to do that. That's
Right.
what the nervous system does. Like
Yeah.
that, those survival and coping mechanisms that come from the survival brain, they're not exactly like great, but because of again, what is called the neuroception in our body, it's kind of like the threat detector,
Mm.
but it doesn't detect from this consciousness. It just detects from like a kind of like flavor of what happened before. This is what we've done. We're gonna do this again. And here you
Yeah.
go. I'm protecting you because remember then you felt pain, you felt suffering, you cried all
Mm-hmm.
day. Guess what I'm gonna help you do? When happens,
Yeah.
we're gonna procrastinate.
Yeah, we're gonna avoid that. Yeah. Any way we
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
But and essentially, when we know that 80% of the messages come from the body, which again,
Hmm.
when your heart beats in a certain way, your neuroreceptors they find your bodily signals and way to cope with it to again
Mm-hmm.
help you survive because your heart is going like this, or your hands are sweaty, right?
Yeah.
This is the signals coming to the survival brain, and survival brain nervous system does its work. And it happens outside of a conscious control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, when that happens in the body, our chemicals change. We actually have chemical reactions.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of that drives our thoughts and drives our stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Those
So that's
hormones and
why,
those chemicals. Yeah.
yeah, that's why for me it was like revelation because I spent
Yeah.
a lot of time in the mindset work. And
Yeah.
yes, it helped me somewhat to know my stories, to know my thoughts, to know my narratives. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I was done with a coach, mindset coach, I still feel what I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that doesn't go until you work at the body level and do the somatic processing to help you discharge that
Yeah.
energy that still your body carries. And no matter how many times I can tell myself, I'm good enough, look at my certificates, I'm good
Mm.
enough, look at my accomplishments, oh, I'm
Right.
good enough, look at what I've created. I
Yeah.
don't feel it
Yeah. Yeah.
because my not good enough, it still lives within me and tells me, hey,
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
you come here and give me some loving.
Right. It's all connected, and that's where the
Yeah,
holistic come part of it comes in. Yeah.
yes, exactly.
You have
That's
to make
why
those connections.
story follows the state. So that's what we
Mm-hmm.
like to say
Yeah.
when we start understanding how nervous system works and also understanding each state.
Mm-hmm.
And then start noticing when my stories come like not good enough and this is like black and
Mm.
white and I am doomed and nobody loves me, then
Yeah.
I'm in a state of dorsal vagal shutdown. So
Mm.
which means it's like my child parts of me
Mm.
talking now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And this is like again, we do some work, and when we do the
Yeah.
work and the energy is charged and discharged, then you feel like my clients like, you know what? I always knew cognitively like I'm supposed to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
I actually feel it. Like I
Yeah.
feel it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you graduated from my practice.
I was going to say that must be such a great feeling for you to see them make their, evolution of themselves
Mhm.
and to see them, evolve from where they
Yeah.
were when they first contacted you. That's got to be
Yes.
such a great feeling to, especially women over 50. I mean, so many women, on our age group feel like, okay, this is it, and there's nothing else they can do. Like you said, this is just who I am or how I am.
Mhm.
So it's nice to be able to give women who are in their 50s,
Mhm.
or approaching 50 or maybe probably even 60 to realize that they can be so much more than, and have that connection with themselves so much more than they ever even realized or ever experienced before. So I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a precious gift. So I always like to
Yeah.
say that I'm in the miracle business.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I,
believe in
I
miracles for sure. Yeah.
I guide people to their own miracle creations. And
Yeah.
that's what I always like to tell my clients because we have a lot of time between our sessions. And I always say that magic always happens between the sessions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want
Absolutely.
you to tell you that, remind you always that you are in charge of creating your own magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I
like
love that.
also upon our coaching container, I always do have celebration sessions.
Oh, nice.
And even in between, like in our sessions, when things start to kind of move and
Yeah.
feel like themselves again, that's another thing that I've noticed, especially with my clients. I don't know if it's like maybe with a lot of women, like they used to love to dance
Mm-hmm.
and they
Then
haven't
they
done that for a
stopped.
while. So
Right.
we again like break the ice and there is some warmth coming up and start talking. Well, what do you love to do? What brings you joy? And like all of them, like 90% tell me, oh, you know what? I love to dance.
Yeah. Yeah. And they haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So that's why in our sessions, I mean, I play Spotify music, we dance, we celebrate, because that's another part
Oh,
when it comes to
fun.
survival, you
Mm-hmm.
don't celebrate what you already accomplished.
Right.
I
Right.
was that person, like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
done. Next.
Yeah. Yeah. check that off now.
Yeah. And my husband would be like, could you just like take time
Yeah.
to do nothing? No, I can't.
Can you
Like,
enjoy that
no,
middle space? Yeah.
no, no. Can you just read a book that has nothing to do with anything?
Right, right.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
because I don't feel safe with that, right? So I had to go and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we have a celebration session. So
So
this
nice.
is complete like every phase.
Mm-hmm.
So we celebrate. I give them the floor so that they prepare kind of like what they're proud of themselves,
Oh,
they've accomplished and done, and who
yeah.
they've become. We do like I have a whole playlist, celebration music and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so but by that time they feel good. They don't feel like
Yeah.
what?
Right, right, because they're at a place
Yeah.
where they're almost sort of graduating or they've made some accomplishments or yeah, yeah, within themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best pleasure to
Yeah.
witness them and do it with them and just feel that they are feel good and comfortable with who
Yeah.
they are becoming. And I mean, I have this client and she started to dance at home in front of husband and they have their in-laws. And the other day she said, the music started to play, and that's her favorite music. And it was kind of feely and touchy. And
Yeah.
her husband, he always just goes and switch to the next.
Mm.
And she felt good, just like being herself. She didn't think about it. That's the point of it. When you start regulating and being like that self, you don't
Mm-hmm.
convince yourself, oh, I'm gonna go do that. She's just like, no, I love this music.
Right.
Set her boundary.
Yeah.
And then she kept the music going and she even danced with that. And
Nice.
you know what? He accepted and he actually smiled. And then they had
Yeah.
to talk after that. And it was beautiful when she was sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. How nice. So, you have given us quite an education, and I really appreciate it. You've shared so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share or to make sure that people know before we go?
Um, yes. I feel like my main message that I love sharing and also bring um, back to the loop is this. I believe that we are all energy of love and we came
Hmm.
back from love, not came back, we come from love,
Yeah, yeah.
which I always kind of like to see. It's this big whole circle, right?
Hmm.
It's the wholeness.
Yeah,
So when the baby is born, the baby's whole, the baby's
yeah,
love, the
yeah,
baby's that energy that reminds us love is still here.
yeah.
So that's why when the baby burps, everybody loves the baby. When the baby poops, everybody loves the baby.
Of course, yes.
Everybody poops on the Chanel bag that costs, I don't know, $2,000. They still love the baby.
Right, right.
Just to remind us that love is unconditional. So, but
Yes.
however, when the baby comes into the world and becomes a little bit more of the adult, that's where that adaptation to being social
Yeah.
starts to happen. And then the baby starts to learn all kinds of confusing messages because most of us are confused anyway. We're
Right.
learning, right?
Right, right.
And then the baby gets fragmented self. Okay,
Mm,
if I'm doing this, then I'm loved by my auntie. If I'm like this, I'm loved by my dad. And if
yeah,
like this, so the baby doesn't do it again from the consciousness. That's that part of the survival and part of the nervous system that the baby starts to create
yeah.
and adapt. Like this is like mammal kind of stuff,
Hmm.
right? If we can put it that way.
Yeah,
So, and when the baby is fragmented, that's who he becomes like, or she becomes that adult.
hmm.
And I believe the journey, the spiritual journey, if you are in the spiritual journey of
Hmm.
awakening and becoming or connecting to that soul with a new, nowadays that word is out there, the soul, the soul, the
Yeah,
soul.
yeah.
but the soul is still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fragmented everywhere. That's why the journey and what I help my clients do is to start connecting all of
Oh.
their fragmented parts. So like my part is I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I did everything, avoiding, accomplishing, achieving, and everything not to feel
Right.
hurt.
Right. Oh
But
my
that's
goodness.
not
Yeah.
love. That's fear.
Yeah.
This is how that survival brain and the nervous system work. Fear wins.
Mm.
What's underneath the fear? When we get down there, underneath every fear, there is always love.
Yeah.
And there's always that love of a caring, loving, compassionate being.
Yeah.
So that's why that caring, loving, compassionate being is kind of reflected through that part, like my part not good enough.
Yeah.
I learned to bring her close
Yeah.
because what is I'm not good enough? She's just absence of good enough. And
Mm.
when this and that comes, neither one exists.
Yeah.
Left is wholeness and love. So,
Yeah.
and essentially, now I know the nervous system also works to help us to come back to love from the state of
Right. To come back to ourselves, come back to where we started, right? To come back
yeah,
to that love that we all are and we all started with. Yeah. To come back
yeah.
to that. Yeah.
And
Great.
essentially, that love, which it means wholeness, and wholeness also means healing.
Mm.
So that's why I believe love heals.
Yeah.
Not the time heals. Time
Mhm.
makes it just procrastinating longer and avoiding.
Right. Just
But
surviving through the time is not the
yeah,
same as healing.
that's
Yeah.
why when we start to learn to open our hearts from that self-protection, because
Mm-hmm.
essentially what is self-protection is a closed heart, and it all becomes about me. But
Yeah.
we as women also learn that selfish is not good a thing, but actually when you're in self-protection, the only thing you can give is to
Right.
yourself because you are in perceived danger by your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And you're actually working against yourself. Why, if you're feeling resentful, there is a reason for it. That's why opening the heart,
Mm-hmm.
wiring from inside out, then you're essentially returning to love.
Yeah. Bringing it all back.
Regulated state, you're just naturally compassionate because that's who you are. That's not lost. It's just kind of
Yeah.
covered up.
Right. And
Yeah.
out there. Yeah. So we bring it all back.
I like my message that I like to bring it out there, how I see it and how I feel. And I believe that more people open their hearts and return back to love they are, then they don't need to prove
Right.
they already that. And again, what I'm talking about is the energy of love that is unconditional,
Mm-hmm.
no agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that.
Well, thank you so, so much for sharing everything today. I'm sure that the listeners and the viewers have learned something, and I'm sure they will be very interested in visiting your website and your social media accounts and everywhere that they can find you. And we will, like I said, put that information, all those links below. So please go visit, find out more about what Jewel has to offer, what she does. And thank you once again for being here and being my guest. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my passion and also inspire your audience. Thank
Yeah.
you for doing your work to the
Oh,
world as
thank you.
well.